Hey guys, welcome back to the Pokéwood Sealed Tracker. This is week 2 of this series, so the idea is pretty simple. Every week, I'm tracking the best Pokemon Sealed products across Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet, and Mega Evolution. And I just want to see where the money is actually flowing. So I'm not trying to overcomplicate anything, I just want to look at what's up, what's down, which sets are showing the most strength, and whether the market still looks healthy overall. This week, the big theme is pretty clear. Mega Evolution is still leading. Scarlet and Violet is mixed, and Sword and Shield is kind of all over the place, depending on the set. So let's get into the numbers. All right, so starting with Sword and Shield. First, Evolving Skies went from about 3,834 down to about 3,658. So it was down roughly 4.5% on the week. Then we have Celebrations. It moved from 396 up to about 426. So that one was up around 7.5%. Fusion Strike had a really strong week. It went from 1,233 to 1,370. So that was up a little over 11%. Brilliant Stars was pretty steady, moving from 760 to about 778, so up roughly 2.5%. Lost Origin also had a strong week. It went from 1,005 up to 1,091, so that was up around 8.5%. Silver Tempest was one of the weaker ones here. It dropped from 670 down to about 605, so down almost 10%. And then Crown Zenith went from 384 up to about 403, so that one was up roughly 5%. So overall, Sword and Shield definitely had some mixed emotions. So you had really strong gainers like Fusion Strike and Lost Origin, but there was also some clear losers like Silver Tempest and Evolving Skies. Moving on to Scarlet and Violet. First off, Paldea Evolved went from 599 down to about 570. So that was down almost 5%. 151 went from 822 up to about 862. So it was up just under 5%. Paldean Fates dropped from 424 to about 375. So that was down roughly 11.5%. And that was actually the biggest drop on the board this week. Surging Sparks also had a weak week. It went from 379 down to about 348. So that was down a little over 8%. Prismatic Evolutions went from 289 down to about 277. So that was down about 4%. Then Destined Rivals was the big standout this week. It moved from 704 all the way up to 834. So that was up roughly 18.5%. Wow. That's a huge move and the biggest gain of the tracker this week. Black Bolt slipped a bit, going from 129 down to about 125. Nothing dramatic, so down about 3%. And White Flare was basically flat. So yeah, it pretty much didn't change. So overall, Scarlet and Violet felt a lot choppier. You had one huge winner in Destined Rivals, and you had even 151 holding up good. But outside of that, there was like weakness here, you know. Mega Evolution base enhanced booster box went from 370 up to 381, so that was up around 3%. Phantasmal Flames moving from 443 up to 500, so that was up roughly 13%. Wow. And Ascended Heroes went from 141 up to 157. So that was up just under 12%. So all three products in this group were in the green, and two of them were double digits. Wow. So that's a really strong look, and Mega Evolution is doing good. So if we zoom out and look at the whole board, the overall market index came in at plus 2.2%. Pretty good for the week. That's solid. Nothing crazy, but constructive. The biggest gainer this week was Destined Rivals, and the biggest dropper, Paldean Fates. So the big takeaway for me is that the market still looks really healthy overall. All right, so that's week 2 of the Pokéwood Sealed Tracker. Mega Evolution is still going strong. Destined Rivals is hot. And that's exactly why I want to keep tracking this every week. Because it's one thing to say like the market looks strong, but it's another thing to actually track the numbers and see where the money is really flowing. If you want more videos like this, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments which set or product you want me to add, if any. And yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Ciao, ciao.